Hello everyone, Courtney here. Today we are going into a topic that I will say, over my time as an inventor, I have struggled with. Until I had failed too many times, I finally learned from my mistakes. And as I coach other inventors at InventRight, I see the same painful mistakes made by my students. No matter how many times I teach it often doesn't hit us until we get it through our own experience and mistakes. So, if you are pitching your product currently and get a no from a company, do not react. Respond. The Kraken from episode 36 is back, and we have a date to talk some sense into him. Do you want to get a deal faster and maybe even turn a no into a yes? Then you need to wait for your brain to catch up. Welcome to episode number 44. Let's get into it.
Where inventing, passion, and hard work intersect. Welcome to the Serial Inventing Podcast. Bite-sized, perspective-altering episodes on serial inventing and beyond. From motivating key tips on product licensing to obstacle-busting conversations on transitioning to a full-time serial product developer. Buckle your seatbelt, because you're in for a ride. Warning, this podcast may motivate you to make wild decisions that will propel you forward in your inventing career and hijack more of your time for your passion. If you aren't ready to make it happen, then this podcast isn't for you.
When we get a response back from a company and they say something negative about our product, it's very easy to engage in a defense, fight or flight mode. It's so easy to react within 5 minutes of a company responding back to us and wanting to defend our product and convince them it's amazing, or don't fight at all and say thank you and move on. Both do not further that relationship. And here at Serial Inventing Co., relationships are what it's all about. When we see a response and instantly react, it is our prefrontal cortex in our brain that is getting disengaged. Let me ask you a few questions. Do you want to have a licensing deal with a company who reacts to you emotionally and defensively? Do you want to get a deal based on what your product is and not based on assumptions of the industry? Do you want them to look at your product haphazardly and not with their best foot forward? Would you rather get a great response from a company in 1 week for a potential yes, or a poor response from them within the hour with a potential no? I want to make sure you are listening here, so I'm going to repeat that last question. Would you rather get a great response from a company in 1 week for a potential yes, or a poor response from them within the hour with a potential no? If your answer is the latter, you can stop listening to this podcast, as you are not in the right mindset to be a serial inventor just yet. If your answer is the former, well, then we want to take our time strategically to write up a good relationship building response back to them, and not a negatively emotionally charged one, or one that we write 2 to 3 emails back immediately because we thought we were finished with our thoughts, but weren't. Companies are slow-moving ships with their pipeline. Unless they say they are in a hurry, they are not in a hurry. In fact, if you haven't responded back in a week and they check in with you, they are thinking of you, and that is a positive email to get back from a company. You are on their mind. Remember that the ball is in your court when they are waiting for a response from you. Are you trying to do a slam dunk or completely miss the hoop? Which one is it? Because missing the hoop completely anyone can do, but a slam dunk takes technique. I feel that we are a bit cursed when it comes to the brain because emotions and the natural chemicals in our body run fast, but rational thought and critical thinking can take a bit of time to come to the table and can be easily overshadowed by the quick emotions we feel. Again, we are in a fight or flight defensive place. If we feel this, is this really the best time to send an email back to the world's largest companies making a licensing deal with our intellectual property? If I were a company, I definitely wouldn't want to make a deal with someone who writes emails with an emotionally heated flair. We are impulsively reacting to responses, not responding. Here's a good tagline to help you remember: responses are meant to be responded to, not reacted to. I have students who are pitching for the first time, and they send me an email they got from a company for me to look at, and I help them with a response back. Often, after I send an example reply, I get an email from my student impressed with the way I respond, like it's magic. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Most of the expertise I have gained on this topic is by waiting. It's not rocket science, it's rational thought. When I sit with an email and get to see how the conversation is going from a third party perspective, sitting with the email and asking myself many questions helps me understand the company side of things, and then because of this, helps me write a better response. One that I'm usually agreeing with on the side of what the company said. However, more of the power lies in how we say it, the words we use, to come to the same conclusion, along with a question back to them. Now, I won't share all of my magic here, but sitting in radio silence, episode 20, is a very large part of it. Why? Because my rational thought catches up. Yes, even I get emotionally heated from a company's response, even when they are talking to my student and not me. But it just takes time and a few other techniques to get myself to write a magical response back. So when the time comes and we get an email back from a company, instead of reacting, how do we actually re engage that reasoning in our brain before responding? I was reading an incredible article from best-selling author, transformational speaker, and organizational psychology consultant Laura Noel about difficult conversations from a neuroscience perspective to shed some light on this topic. And here is what she recommends. Reacting is an instinctive emotional response to a situation. It's often impulsive and can be influenced by our past experiences or fears. On the other hand, responding is a thoughtful and deliberate action. It involves considering the situation, weighing the options, and making a conscious decision. There are several strategies we can use to respond instead of react in challenging situations. These include taking a deep breath to calm ourselves, pausing before speaking to gather our thoughts, and asking questions to clarify the situation and better understand the other person's perspective. Additionally, it's essential to focus on the issue at hand rather than the person involved. See a person with a problem instead of seeing the person as a problem. Shifting how we see the person can help prevent negative emotions from clouding our judgment. Lastly, considering the long-term consequences of our actions can help us make more informed decisions that benefit everyone involved. What incredible advice from Laura. You want to wait until your rational thought comes in before you make a decision, which is really hard because your emotions will tell you that waiting won't get you anywhere and you have already written up the best response, which is not true. Your emotions are lying to you. I would recommend you heed Laura's advice and pause. Take a breath and don't come back until you are cool, calm, and collected. And sometimes that means not responding for even a few days. Trust me, that time is very, very well spent. I will leave you with this. In the book How Successful People Think by best-selling author John C. Maxwell, Chapter 7 talks about reflective thinking. He states that reflective thinking enables you to distance yourself from the intense emotions of particularly good or bad experiences and see them with fresh eyes. You can see the thrills of the past in the light of emotional maturity and examine tragedies in the light of truth and logic. That process can help a person to stop carrying around a bunch of negative emotional baggage. And there you have it. So, my question for you is, what type of energy do you want to carry into a licensing deal with your potential licensee? Thanks for tuning in and taking a few bites with me today. And remember, serial inventors don't make excuses, they make it happen. See you soon.